Okay, we're on Chapter 10, Section 1, and we're looking at two formulas that are being shown to us in this section. There's area of a parallelogram, which is going to be base times height. Notice that the sides of your parallelogram are going to be the base, and then I just noticed this word is in the wrong place. It should have been right here. The height is the perpendicular segment, again, from one side of the parallelogram to the other. So the base will always be a side. The height will be the perpendicular segment connecting that base to the other base, as in this one. The only time in a parallelogram when the base and the height are actual both sides would be, of course, in a rectangle, where one side will be the base and one side will be the height, or of course in a square. Otherwise, base will be a side, height will just be a perpendicular segment. Now, the thing about every parallelogram is you can cut every parallelogram in half and create a triangle. So, to get the area of a triangle, you're really doing half base times height, which in essence is because triangles are half a parallelogram. Okay, so with that in mind, you can see here for the area of a triangle, once again, any side will be the base. The height will be the corresponding altitude. So as you can see here, I've taken this triangle and it's been duplicated twice, so you have 3 of them. You can see here the base is this side, therefore the altitude comes from the vertex across from it, and that's the corresponding height. In the second one, you can see we're using this side as the base, and therefore the altitude will come from the vertex across from it. And in the third picture, we're using this side as the base, and then of course this will be the corresponding altitude. Now, as you can see in these different pictures, you can see, for example, this height is much shorter than this one, but in the trade-off, this base is longer than this base. Regardless of which height and base combination you use, the area of the triangle, you should get the same answer for each of them. Okay, we're going to move on to page 2. Okay, for this first example, we're finding the area of this parallelogram. So we want to use one of the sides as the base, and then of course the height connecting it to the opposite base. So if we take a look here, this side, 10, I know that the distance across, the perpendicular distance across, is 4. So that's my base and my height. It's a good idea when you first start practicing, write the formula down every time so that you can then substitute it in, and as you're doing it, you can work on memorizing the formula. Okay, so for this first one, our area turns out to be 40 meters squared. Why don't you go ahead, take a look, see what base and height we're going to use for this picture. Well, we can see that when we use this base of 15, the height that goes with it is going to be over here, h, the one we're missing. When I use this side, the 7.5 as the base, you can see that the perpendicular segment that goes with it, coming across from the other opposite base, is 12. So the area of this trapezoid parallelogram is 12 times 7.5, which is going to turn out to be, hold that thought, it's going to turn out to be 90, and that's going to be the area, yards squared, of my parallelogram. So because the area cannot change, that means when I calculate area using a base of 15 and a height of h, the area still has to stay 90 square units. So I go ahead and I divide, and I find out that h is really 6 yards. So again, that's a great problem, great thing to keep in mind. Okay, and the last example, we're finding the area of the triangle. Be mindful because the triangle that we're finding the area of is this entire triangle. And so the formula we want to use is area equals 1/2 base times height. So the base is going to be a side of the triangle, and so the side that we have in perpendicular to is 16. So we want to use that whole side. And then the height that corresponds to it is 7. And then you go ahead and multiply those out. 1/2 of 16 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56, and our units are square inches. Okay, we're moving on to page 3. Okay, example 4 on page 3, if you take a look at it, it's telling us the triangle has area 16 square feet and height 4 feet, and we're being asked to find the base. Well, I don't have a picture, but I don't really need one. I know we're dealing with the area of a triangle, so I can write that formula. And then, of course, I can plug and chug, fill in everything that I have. So I have an area of 16. I have a base that I don't know, and I have a height of 4. So at this point, I clean this up. 16 equals 2b. I divide, and b is equal to 8. Don't forget your units, and we'd want to say our final answer is 8 feet is the base. Okay, we're going to stop right here. I'd like for you to please complete example 5 and example 6 on your own, and I'll see you in class.